Simsalabim!
Simsalabim, yeah. There you go.
All right.
What's happening?
Oh, I came up with a new character.
Yeah?
Undo.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Or Control Z or Command Z.
Yeah. Command Z could be like Undo's sidekick or something. So good. So let's see. What are you drinking? Coffee?
Actually, tea.
What kind?
A little bit of green tea with mint.
Nice. Are you a coffee drinker or not?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I usually only have one good cup of coffee in the morning, and then that's it for the day. But I've been wanting to have, and then I usually just drink warm water with honey and lemon. But I have to have my my special mug that says "Coffee pairs well with silence."
That's right. Are you? Are you a coffee snob?
Not like you, no.
Oh, all right.
But I am. I'm not a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts as my coffee. I'm more of a Starbucks guy, and I don't know if you've ever ordered from what the hell it's from up in Alaska. The coffee, I forget the name of it, but they have a the name of the
Raven's Brew.
Yes, Raven's Brew.
Oh, I know Raven's Brew.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah. The 3 Peckered Billy Goat is awesome.
Yes. 3 Peckered Billy Goat is good. I prefer. What is it? Oh, come on. So there used to be this coffee shop when I went to college in the next town over, which was Wilmington, Vermont, which is right next to where Mount Snow is. It's next to one of the ski areas. Dead Man's Reach.
Okay.
And it was this coffee shop called Beanhead. Oh, I have to tell you this crazy story. Coffee shop called Beanheads, and they served exclusively Raven's Brew coffee. It was this little tiny coffee shop in this dinky Vermont town, tourist town. And I used to work at Mount Snow second shift, so late afternoon and evening, like pretty late sometimes. Like I was there when the sun went down, right? Tuning skis. So
nice.
I was like, yeah. I love getting sprayed in the face with chemicals for 12 hours. It's super good, right? But whatever, it paid well, and I got a free ski pass, and I could tolerate it for a season or two. And when I was working there, it was me and my buddy that I grew up with, Tim. And so we didn't have to answer to anybody. We could kind of play death metal and do our own thing as long as we got the job done. And we had cross country running buddies, so like we were already good at like getting in a rhythm and working together. And so we used to stop by at Beanheads, and we'd get like an extra large with a triple shot of espresso. It was called something ludicrous, it had some dumb name. And I drank one of these one time on an empty stomach.
Ooh.
Because
how long did it take before it kapow?
Well, the kapow wasn't even the problem. Like, yeah, there were digestive issues, but the problem was that I had to leave work early because it was like it was like borderline caffeine overdose.
Yeah.
I was not functional. It was so funny in a not funny way. But yeah, interesting. Raven's Brew. And just the other day you mentioned, didn't you say that you were into Dungeons and Dragons because of the dice?
Yes, but that was when I was, much, much younger. Like we were talking 40 years ago that I was into it.
Oh, I understand, but we're finding all sorts of interesting things out about each other. It's good.
Yeah. Hey, Gene. Hey, Donald. What's up, guys?
Cool. Welcome, everybody. I wasn't even looking at the chat. Hey, Donald. Good to see you again. Gene, good morning. So today we're going to talk a little bit about butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. What type of entrepreneur are you? And
or what stage of the business are you in, right?
That's right. And so we're going to relate the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker to something you may have already heard us speak about in the past. But think first about just the old nursery rhyme. How does that even go? Actually, I should have pulled that up. The butcher, the baker,
the rhythm.
Yeah, how does that go? Rub-a-dub-dub. That's right.
That's right.
3 men in a tub, and who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, all of them out to sea. I'm sure there's probably a very negative connotation with some of this or something, but I'm not going to read too much into it right now.
Yeah, let's keep it in the spirit of which it's intended by us.
Let's keep it focused. So, different types of entrepreneurs, right? These are obviously different types of business owners: a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. They're slightly different professions. They all sell products, right? But what we're really looking at are the different types of business owners, the different types of entrepreneurs, and the different stages that business owners and entrepreneurs can be at different points in their business as their business evolves, right? Yeah. And so, Joshua, you brilliantly came up with the idea of the Rainmaker,
right,
as one type of entrepreneur. Then you came up with the duplicator,
right,
and the fixer.
Yeah.
And these are three distinctly different roles within a business that need to be filled at some point in fairly early on, the first few years of the business's life cycle, right?
Well, if it's going to survive, yeah.
Right, if it's going to make it through, if it's going to keep going.
Right.
And so let's talk about these three different types of entrepreneurs and who they are and how to know. How do you know where you're at? So let's talk about the Rainmaker. This is the first stage of the business, and one that needs to continue on usually as the business grows, right? Just because you evolve to the next step beyond the Rainmaker doesn't mean the Rainmaker goes away, right?
Yeah, in fact, I think all of them are kind of cumulative that need to build on each other. And you know what? Let me back up. It all depends on what type of business you're trying to build and what your goals are for it. I'm assuming, and maybe incorrectly, that the type of business, when I'm referring to this in the process, is that you want to build an income for life type business model where you can eventually have a continuity of income that is reliant on the assets of the business and that it has true equity to it. And it's not reliant on any one person or system within it, that the systems can kind of manage the systems, and that whether you're there or not, you're still continuing to grow, and the business is now in its maturity state and can continue to survive and scale to different parts. So that's like those three roles, I believe, are the path to the third type of income in a business, which is the income for life type business, where you're learning how to leverage business assets to produce your income and your wealth from the business. And the other two types of income is income today, which is you're leveraging your time, and that's for survival, right? That's when you're in startup mode. And then income tomorrow for stability, where you get a little bit under your belt, and now it needs to shift. So when you're in the income tomorrow category, which is the centerpiece, so to speak, in the road to the income for life destination, you wind up with leveraging systems instead of just your time. And so that's kind of the evolution. So where it relates to the three roles, as it were, is I believe that every business person or every business in general starts with their time leverage, starts with an idea, starts with the Rainmaker. So you've got to be the visionary, the person that makes the magic happen to some degree to get the proof of concept and to get it off the ground. And then at a certain point, that Rainmaker, runs out of steam if the only thing that she or he is leveraging is their time.
Right.
All you're reliant on is the time arbitrage. You very quickly get maxed out, because there's only two ways to make more money if that's the only resource that you're using, right? You either put in more hours, or you figure out how to make your time that you are putting in more valuable, or you do both, right?
There's an interesting point I'd like to make for
Sure.
entrepreneurs that don't consider themselves Rainmakers, but do want to get started. So you're trying to start a business, but you suck at selling, okay? Or you don't like it. You just hate selling. Right?
Or you don't view rainmaking as selling, because that's another thing.
It is another thing. But what I'm saying is, if bringing in the dough isn't something that you can pull off. What you can do is you can find your role in the company and find a great salesperson or build a small team of salespeople to be bringing the rain for you. And that's in that case setting up more of a system, right? But just because you're starting the business, you do need to be responsible for bringing the money in, but you don't have to be the person to do it if you're willing to like build a team as you get rolling.
Sarah, what's up, girl? Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow.
Oh, it's my sister. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, Sarah. Yeah, I saw you just tried to call me. Sorry I didn't pick up. We're live streaming right now. You want to give me an update on what's going on in Florida?
I assume you're talking to the Clearwater, Tampa, Florida contingency and not the down south.
Yeah, my sister's in St. Pete Beach. If you guys want to buy a house...
in St. Pete Beach, yes.
My sister is actually selling houses left and right with like virtual tours and stuff. It's been really cool to see. She's been selling tons of houses even during COVID. Way to go, Sarah. Just got off Rye Beach. Nice. So, okay, so the Rainmaker position is let's bring in the money, bring in the business. Now, but you were saying maybe selling doesn't mean rainmaking. So what did you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is that you have to have proof of concept, right? You've got to have a prototype that is going to work in order to get beyond it. And usually that's up to you. However you prove that there's going to be some sort of sustained legs to what your idea is, you've got to make some magic happen. Before you can enroll a salesperson in joining you, you've got to have a business model of some sort. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have some, and usually any kind of great sales staff or marketing or any kind of team member really, in order for them to be enrolled in your vision, you've got to have a certain amount of momentum or proof behind you. So I call it like proof of concept. You know, you've got a rapid prototype until you get something or a glimmer of something that's going to work.
That's right.
And that might be, marketing driven. That might be just you out there thinking about, getting clients. Maybe you don't think of it as traditional selling, but whatever it is, you got to prove out the model so that you've got something that you can feel confident in yourself that if you enroll other people in it, that it's going to go somewhere, right? And that's the only way they're going to join your team anyway, right?
This is an interesting piece is that I got lucky where after I got trained as a hypnotist, as a hypnotherapist, the woman that trained me, she owned a franchise. She owned a franchise, whatever. She was a franchisee, right? So I worked in a hypnosis franchise, and I saw all of the marketing. I saw the direct response marketing. I saw the ads. I heard the ads on the radio and the local news or on the local station when I was driving around, whatever. And I didn't like it. Like I really genuinely hated the style of the direct response marketing and the before and after weight loss things and everything. But what I learned working for her for almost 2 years was I learned the business. Right. Like and it took me several years to realize what I learned. Okay. Like afterward, but I actually saw and experienced an example of high ticket selling. She was selling $3,000 to $6,000 hypnosis packages.
Right.
People with no money, right? Who were desperate to lose weight. And I was doing all the hypnosis, right? And so I saw the sales process. I saw the intake process. There was a free private screening and consultation that occurred. All these things. I had no idea what I was learning.
Right.
But years later, it's like how all the businesses are run. So it's just very interesting. If you don't have a proof of concept yet and you're just shooting in the dark, one thing that you can do is you can go get a job working for somebody who has the business that you think you want to have. And you can just learn it, figure it out, be there, add value.
The bottom line is when you're in that rapid prototyping phase, when you're looking for your proof of concept, that's the way it works every time anyway, because you've got to piece together other pieces of the puzzle of things that you've seen of maybe you're adding some things that you think might work in conjunction with this based on your experiences or not. And as you start to do that, then you get your own proof of concept
Right.
underneath your umbrella. And that's still, in my opinion, all in the Rainmaker stage, because until you get there, and by the way, every business model, if you really break it down, starts there, right? Like you've got to get something going. But the instant that you get to proof of concept, where there's actually something to work with, now you got to stop duplicating other people's stuff and start thinking about how you can, pare down the different pieces. And that's where, the first step ends up being like, growth duplication. Like how do you become a duplicator of growth that doesn't depend on you? And that's the first stage, I believe, of, learning to leverage systems. And it's about, kind of putting roots down, if you will, to that proof of concept, that up to that point, until you did see that it had some life to it, that it was a Frankenstein type pairing together of all those pieces. And that's the way it has to be, right? I mean, there's no other way to do it, unless you've got something to pull on of your own experience that you've been through before. But let's face it, if you've got your own experience to pull on, it's still a Frankenstein model.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah, it might have a higher chance of success, and you might have already like overcome some of the obstacles and figured out some of the challenges, so that the next time, like, for example, if you already know how to build an evergreen webinar and you've already spent the weeks of beating your head up against the wall, dealing with all the little tweaks and all the little changes and all the little things to make everything work right, and you've generated sales with it, the next time you go to build an evergreen webinar, that's going to come much easier to you, right? And after you've built 20 of them, then you can kind of do it in an afternoon in your sleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a certain amount of practice and skill learning that happens. So what we're talking about here are the three different types of entrepreneur, the three different stages that your business can be in, and the types of entrepreneur you need to be to show up as in order to get your business to move to the next level. So we're talking about,
and I think it's important to recognize that everything starts there, right? I mean, like there's not a good or a bad way to be about it. It's just the way it is, right? So the thing is to have a game plan so that you don't stay there, because I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we get stuck without even thinking about it in that Rainmaker mode or stuck in the growth duplication mode, and kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, because we don't realize, or we don't have a long-term strategy of how to progress beyond it, and say, what's the vision?
We do whatever needs to be done, and the business builds to the point where we can take it and still get everything done, and then our income taps out and it plateaus, and then we're like, I have no more time. My time is eaten up by family.
Even before it plateaus, you step into the fixer role, right? Because now you've got to, because it's just like Frankenstein, right? Like the parts wear out. And so before you know it, you're juggling one body part and you're putting it on your Frankenstein model here, and you're setting it out. And no sooner than you get that up and running again and get it limping along, that the leg falls off, and you got to put, or the heart or the head or whatever. And now you've got to piece the next piece in together, rather than building your robot, as it were, from the ground up.
We should do a live stream just called "Do You Have a Franken Business?" or "How to Tell If You Have a Franken Business."
Great, love it.
Right.
I don't know that everybody else will love it, but I love it.
Well, I'm glad we both love it. That's really good. So one of the things. All right. So the three stages, right? 3 stages, 3 pieces to the puzzle here are Rainmaker stage, right? Let's talk about duplicator a little bit more. So everyone who's just tuning in, based on your current understanding, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, do you believe that you're in the Rainmaker stage, that you're in the duplicator stage, or that you're in the fixer stage right now? Rainmaker,
your business turned into an asset that runs itself and it scales itself, whether you're there or not. That it's a true business asset that has value, has equity that you could actually exit from, sell, and have asset value that somebody else could take over and get the results from. Because that's a different segment entirely.
Totally different. Yeah. So when we're talking about the Rainmaker, obviously we understand that you got to bring the business in some way, shape, or form, right? Otherwise, there's no money to be made, and you're not going to pay your bills. But what is the trap of the Rainmaker? When you're in perpetual Rainmaker mode, the trap is you're burning all your time, and then you're putting out the fires, and then you're living your life. You're spending time with your family. You're trying to keep yourself in shape. You're trying to eat three meals
Yeah.
a day. There's no more time left, right? You're stuck there. So
and you wake up every morning, or every Monday morning, I should say, unemployed, going, all right, now what do I got to do to make meet the nut this week? And how do I do, and then you just hustle, you're out there hustling.
Right. So when you go into the duplicator phase, the way I like to think about that is like, okay, I'm going to stop selling everything and I'm going to build myself some robots to sell me some stuff. Basically, that's how I think about it in my head. I'm going to build some sales robots that can sell as well or better than I can, that can go out, but I'm going to build a bunch of them, right?
Let me just answer Donald's question. The second one is what Tillman's talking about right now, which is the growth duplicator.
That's right, the growth duplicator. So you start out selling all the time, and you are putting all of your time, effort, and energy into the bringing in of the dough. And so what you can do is you can train up another human being to take over for some or all of those activities, or you can take extra time, nights and weekends, to build your robots, right? And in this case, that might be an online system, online lead generation and sales system for your business, whatever you're selling, product, service, therapy appointments, whatever. You can build an online lead generation and sales process that's a robot version of you, that can do that. And so Jean says she's building the duplicator system. She totally is. She's been in Rainmaker mode for a very long time in her business. And now she's building systems to duplicate herself that will sell her products and services for her, literally 24 hours a day.
I think here's what's key, though. Jean's also building it with the intention of going beyond the system leverage stage of the business development process. Her ultimate goal is to get into a perpetual income machine where she's now leveraging true assets. And that's the difference between staying stuck in the growth duplicator mode and not, right? Because, like, I don't know about you, but when you get your first taste of what it means to grow by, through systems and growing your education, oh my God, it's like, holy shit. I remember somebody actually responded to that little ad. Oh, somebody actually bought, and I didn't have to do anything. And oh my God, to this day, every time I launch a campaign, I will sit there, refresh, right? I love it. And it's like magic to me. Like, I'm still enthralled every time somebody responds, and it didn't require me, other than all the work that you had to put into it to set it up, right? But the problem is that if you're just looking in terms of how do I duplicate myself, or how do I duplicate the growth that I'm looking at, very often you're looking at your Frankenstein model instead of it as a holistic approach from the top down, and saying like, do I even need this part in my model or not? And could I redesign it given what I want to have happen? What my optimizations points are.
Because for most of us, when we're building the business, we're solving problems in the moment that we are even able to notice are there. Okay.
Right.
And so it's like, there are all these other problems that are happening and blowing up all around us that we're too immature to see as business owners, being in the industry, haven't gone after certain types of goals. There are all sorts of problems that exist that you simply don't even notice because they're not in your face, right? As you build your business, as you Frankenstein solutions to those problems together, if your business still exists, like you've got a living, breathing organism that can be like, right? But it's not doing ballet. And so, or whatever. That was kind of funny.
Well, it might work in one condition, but as soon as it burns out, like you might have a kick-ass campaign that's just on fire. Right. And as soon as it runs its course, you're dead in the water. You got to figure out what's my next piece that I'm going to duplicate growth about, and now it begins and ends. It's still finite in nature, right?
Yeah. So Sarah, you are absolutely right. You are not only a rainmaker, but you are an ass kicker of a rainmaker, right? Like, absolutely. You're really good at what you do, but it's also, as we've talked about many times, right? It's also your biggest crutch because you're so good at connecting with people and bonding with them and building rapport and selling the house and getting the details done and pushing it forward, staying up late and working 7 days a week.
And nobody else can either,
No,
or they won't, because they're not going to be as devoted as you are to it.
devoted, smart, skilled, etc., 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 etc. And so,
That's the definition of Rainmaker right there, which is
yeah,
great. I mean, it all starts there.
but it's a great example.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
fortunately, Sarah isn't totally an army of one. She has a team of people and a network of people as a real estate agent to help her. But in her situation, applying these principles, because there are lots of other people that would feel like they're in the same situation, whether you're however you work with people, if you're a one man, one woman show, one person show, and nobody else can keep up with you, how do you graduate from that Rainmaker stage into that duplicator mode?
Well, here's the acid test to know if you're solely in Rainmaker or if you've got other aspects in place. If you stop doing your stupid human trick, does your income stop almost immediately or within short order? Does the results in your business stop without you, making the magic happen, so to speak?
Right.
The longer the tail is that it stops working without you putting in your stupid human trick, without you doing your magic, the more that you're into a systemized approach. It doesn't mean that you're there, but you're now in more of a stability type approach. The shorter the time frame, you're in solidly in income today. I mean, these aren't black and white, by the way. They're on a scale and they continue, but it's easy to kind of draw it out that way. Each one of these, income today category and income tomorrow category, and the income today is solidly Rainmaker. The income tomorrow category starts with growth duplicator, moves into the system fixer, because you're leveraging your systems to get your income out the other side. And of course, still the Rainmaker is still included in there. But both of those, each one of those segments, income today segment and the income tomorrow segment, have caps, and then the two of them together with the three roles have a massive cap that you can't grow beyond unless you shift your entire process. So I think I've gotten a little bit off what your question was, Telman. So bring me back on course, would you?
Well, so we've got the three stages: Rainmaker, duplicator, fixer. And so when you're stuck in Rainmaker, how do you move the next level up into duplicator? And so, like, what? That's really the question. So how do you? Sarah actually broke it down pretty simple. My challenge is to manage and train, recruit others to do what I do while doing what I do to keep the income flowing strong.
Yeah.
And being a mother of two young children, and being dealing with COVID, like all these things are all happening, just like they're happening to all of us all the time, right? So yeah, when you have all your time seems eaten up doing what you do in order to be in order to keep the business running, how do you then dedicate that extra time to creating the systems that you need that will ultimately give you some freedom back?
Well, let me acknowledge that there's no right or wrong answer to it. It's whatever fits for you, for your business model. But the way that I would do it in your shoes is I would develop and leverage marketing systems and marketing, onboarding processes that are driven by marketing. The same way that you would put a marketing campaign together to get an influx of qualified prospects to talk to and to pre-screen them and to do that for you. At the same time, you can do the same thing for getting recruitment in place. And Dan Kuchel is absolutely brilliant at this type of an approach to systemize your onboarding process for talented people to be recruited in as much of a hands-off way as possible, so that you can see and you can stay engaged in the day-to-day operations that you've got to keep the business afloat. However, if you have a little bit of substance, if you have a little bit of sustainability, if you've got stability underneath you, you would be well served to consciously take a step back if you've got the reserves and say, I'm going to be earning less, and in this stage of the game, I know that the people that I'm training aren't going to be anywhere near my capacity, and I'm going to have to fight the urge to want to do it for them because I can do it faster, better, in everything. And it's an investment in them, and it's an investment in your business and the future to be able to scale up. I personally like to use marketing in a way that is about, and I call it kind of like insight marketing engines, and it's insight driven, whether it's for team building or whether it's for, selling your ultimate product. There are things that you wish that people came to you already knowing about X, right? So in the case, if your goal is to recruit people into your business, great salespeople, or whatever that might be that you're in need of, great operations managers, whatever, then that becomes the X, right? And if you're talking about the actual sale of the houses or the area in which that you're working, to use Sarah's example, there are things that you wish, that insights that if they just knew what you know to be true, they would join your team. They would, whatever it took, they would do it. And same with buying a house from you. Like if they knew what you knew, and if they knew what you provided to them, if they came to you already knowing that, with those kind of insights, what would that do? And all of us have these types of things. And if we start thinking about what they don't know and thinking in terms of that, and then systemizing that, putting together some insight-driven marketing engines, that's definitely marketing. And by the way, marketing is enrollment, right? And whether it's for enrolling people to join your team, or whether it's enrolling customers to buy from you or clients to do business with you, it's all the same thing, right? So the way that I like to look at it is, what insights do I need them to believe? What internal frame of reference, what worldview, if they just saw things through my eyes, and it wouldn't require me to tell them, they wouldn't do business with anybody else. They wouldn't join anybody else's team. They'd be crazy not to be on board with me, right? And then develop whether it's a video that you explain the key nuances of the differences, or the process. I mean, Dan does a lot of those types of things. He doesn't do it in the same kind of framework that I just explained, but that's the essence or the groundwork that I personally would do if I'm looking to get beyond the income tomorrow category of just only leveraging systems. If I want to eventually outgrow the need to be a growth duplicator, and I want to outgrow the need to be a system fixer where I'm just, juggling plates and keeping them spinning and whatnot. And I want to, build a true asset that I can then leverage up, then that's the way that I personally would do it. I've said a mouthful.
You have. And so I want to mention this. We actually need to get going in a few minutes.
Yep.
But I mean, since we're giving my sister business advice, I think I should probably say something smart. So check this out, Sarah. So to piggyback on what Joshua is saying and apply it in a slightly different direction, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I know that you often talk about slice of paradise and how it's a nice idea, right? And it rhymes. And if you were to write, like, for example, a Andre Chaperone style autoresponder madness sequence, a SOS sequence that told the story of a perfect client finding their perfect home in St. Petersburg from beginning to end, right? And you called the story Slice of Paradise. And my question to you really is this: right now, I know you buy leads. You get a lot of leads in from Zillow, and like you buy as much advertising as you can, possibly, historically anyway. We haven't talked about this in the last few weeks, but you buy a lot of advertising. And so I'm curious, of all the leads that you get, what percentage of them do you sell? And I'm going to guess it's not a huge percentage. I'm gonna say probably 20% at best would be my guess. If you're still watching, which you probably are, tell me what percentage of the leads that you get from Zillow or other paid advertising sources do you actually sell houses to? And so if you could dramatically increase the number of transactions that occur as a result of those leads, even if it's way outside of your ability to service all those clients, then what you've done is, in your story, in your SOS sequence, you can actually tell the story of how your network of real estate agents was created and the specific process that you came up with in order to help people find their dream home and find their slice of paradise, and how you and your elite team or network of real estate agents are the only people who know St. Pete well enough to actually bring you through this process. And so you actually have a process that you bring these new clients through to find their dream home. And the only people that know how to do it are you and your agents. This is the whole point of the email. And so you have a whole email sequence that you build just to tell the story, to do what you're already doing. And then you have to outsource those extra leads to all these other real estate agents because you don't have enough time to service them anyway. Problem solved across the board. Right. So what did she say?
And let me also add to that, Sarah, you would be very well served to add a Dean Jackson 9-word email approach into your process, because I don't know how familiar you are with Dean's work, but he discovered through some studies, and by the way, Dean does a ton of work with real estate agents and investors and things of that nature. So a lot of the stuff that he has is directly applicable to you personally. But the 9-word email basically is a way that you rejuvenate dead leads, so to speak. And what he does is that he teaches people how to put on a 90-day window the people that they haven't contacted. So my guess is that of all the leads that you get, that you probably don't have a system that works them longer than maybe 30 days, and at the outside maybe 60 days. And what he discovered was that 80% or better than 80% of all the sales, when you get an inquiry, when somebody raises their hand and says, "I'm thinking about doing business," the majority of the prospects don't do business for at least 90 days afterwards. So what this means is that if you don't follow up past the 90-day window, you're losing 80% of the viable leads. And so they're going to do business with a competitor or somebody else. And so what this 9-word email just does is it brings them back in the fold. Hey, are you still interested in buying your slice of paradise? Yes or no, and then just a question mark. Like that's it. And
even yeah.
Whatever, I mean, Telman, you're much better at this than I am. You know it much deeper. But the point to take away from this is that 90 days out and then some, is something like 80 or 85, 90% of all the business happens that far out downstream. So the power of the results that can happen from that are just astronomical. Plus, there's no competition because nobody else is doing that. I mean, it is so simple to re-engage them. It's not based on selling, particularly if you do exactly what Telman outlined in terms of giving that email process where you map out kind of the emotional journey or the insight journey or the belief journey, however you want to think of it. Like, what are the beliefs that they have to have, or what are the insights that they have to, buy into in order to do business with you, and work your way backwards and tell that in an Andre Chaperon style sequence of emails that then delivers that. And then on top of that, you still get astronomical conversions out the yin yang, right? From in that initial window. But then you put it back into the 90-day follow-up, and you recuperate so much more. And by the way, when they hear that follow-up from you, they remember you because you've bonded with them through your slice of life or your slice of paradise campaign, and that you stand out completely different. So now when the timing's better or whatever, and now you got 80% of the shit. I mean, it's like laydowns.
That's right. So very, very good stuff. And I'll tell you that there's a challenge here, right? Sarah had a lot of great comments about she loves Dean's work, and she's making $11 back for every $1 spent on ads, which is phenomenal, right? Imagine if it was $100 instead of 11.
Yeah.
Really good. But so here's the challenge.
Times that by 80%. If that return on investment is only 20% of what's possible, imagine what the 80, without spending another dime. I mean,
Right.
it's going to take, it's a 90 to 180-day window before you can recapture it. But, multiply that $11 return at day 90 through day 180 by 8 times.
Right. So I totally agree. And so the challenge here becomes when you're working your ass off to sell all the houses and do everything to keep your business running, to keep it rolling, how do you then break free from that trap, from that plateau that you're stuck under in order to pop to the next level? And one of the biggest ways that there are a few things involved, right? The first thing is that you have to know where you're going. You have to have a clear direction, a clear path, some sort of an outline. It could be an outline in your head, but as long as you have a clear idea of what you're trying to create. The second thing is that if you can't get there on your own, you need some degree of accountability. You need a coach, a mentor, a person who's already been there that's going to hold their feet to the fire, so that when you say you're going to do something different, you actually have to follow through and do that thing different. You have to change the thing that you're doing in your schedule. You have to change the importance of getting something done on time that's new outside of just the fires that you're putting out in your business. It needs your conscious attention in order to change it, right?
Yeah, and can I just point out something about a coach that I would advise everybody in terms of just take it for what it's worth. But when you're selecting a coach, make sure that coach is able to work with you specifically in terms of what your strengths, weaknesses are, can empower what you want to have happen, as opposed to somebody that's just applying a cookie cutter approach and saying, this is the way we do it, and trying to force feed you into a particular mold and out the other end. Make sure that they can adapt to what you are trying to do, so that you're building your business with their help and guidance, as opposed to you building their business or their idea of what your business should be.
So what we're really talking about here, guys, is building a platform for your business that can operate without you, right? And is your business built on a platform, or is it built on your back, right? That's really what we're talking about. And what we want to do is we want to create a platform for your business in order to really understand what the next step is and how to get some of that leverage, so that you're not stuck in all of these roles in your business. And one at a time, you get systems and people set up to do those things for you, right? So you want to get an idea of where you're at with your platform thinking, with your business. If this sounds interesting, if you want to break through and break past the current plateau that you're stuck under, then Joshua created something really freaking cool that I think you're going to love. So it's a business platform assessment. Okay. And if you're interested, I want you to type platform in the comments right now. PLATFORM. Type platform in the comments and shoot me or Joshua a private message, whichever person's video you're watching right now. Let us know that you want the platform assessment, right? Platform. We'll send you a link, and you can go. It'll ask you a bunch of thought-provoking questions that will help to get you a great deal of clarity on where you're at with your business, on where your head is at, and exactly what you need in order to move to that next phase, right? So it's totally free. It's absolutely brilliant. A ton of people from my list have been taking it, and we've been getting really, really, really good feedback. And so we'd like to extend that to you. If you like the idea of moving to the next stage of your business and evolving as an entrepreneur, type platform into the comments, shoot us a private message, and I will, or Joshua will give you a link to the platform assessment. You can take that, and then we'll talk about next steps.
Sounds good.
That's the name of the game. Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker.
Cool.
Anything else to say, Joshua? What's the biggest benefit? Like, what's the when you created this thing, what is the biggest benefit that you think people are going to get from taking this assessment?
Well, two things, right? I mean, one, they have to understand that what the goal of the assessment is twofold. One, where are they now in the, what's their current snapshot of reality, and in light of where it is that that our goal for the platform is, and let's remember that our goal for the platform is to grow beyond transactional type leverage and income, where there's a beginning and an end. It's the goal is to build a platform that has perpetual income, perpetual influence, perpetual results that happen on an ongoing basis, that is a true business asset. So what the assessment does is it evaluates where you are in relationship to that goal. That's the only two things that really matter, right? And then it gives us insights to go over with you, as well as you insights to see, all right, like, where is it that you are and where is it that you want to get to, assuming that you want to build inside of your business model a perpetual platform, some sort of income for life marketing engine type platform that drives on. So how do we help you get there in light of where you are right now, and in light of where it is that you want to go, as opposed to just saying, like, everybody that wants a income for life marketing engine has to do this, this, and this, and has to apply it in this way, this way, and this way. No, it's it needs to adapt and be flexible to it's a framework that needs to be able to be applied to to what you want, to what your vision is for the results that you're looking for your business. And then, I mean, what's got to be in alignment is that if you're not interested in a perpetual income, if you're not interested in having a ongoing, income for life type business model, and maybe you're not for whatever you're working on right now because it's not, thrilling to you, that's fine. Don't take the assessment, because, we're trying to help you get that goal.
That's right. Awesome. All right, Sarah, I will shoot you a link, and everybody else that's hitting us up, I will shoot you links as well. Got to roll. I hope everybody has a great weekend, but we'll probably see you this weekend as well.
I'm planning on it.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys and gals.
Bye-bye.